All right, good morning, everyone. We are live on Facebook. Dominic, our lead organizer, is not able to make it this morning, so you guys are stuck with me for the next few minutes while we do our usual intro. I'm going to try to run the Zoom breakout rooms and do our introductions and MC the meeting. So first of all, welcome to 1 Million Cups RTP. Happy New Year. Let's hope for better things in 2021 than we had in 2020, or at least an improving situation. So 1 Million Cups RTP, we've got a bunch of organizers who make stuff happen. Terry is here today, as well as Frank. Frank is our newest organizer. Frank Pollock is a regular here at 1 Million Cups RTP, so many of you already know him quite well. But Frank, you might just say, if you don't mind, hello and give us a 30-second introduction.
Hello, if I don't mind. So as you mentioned, I'm Frank Pollock. My company is the Pioneer Group, and I've been a marketing consultant for a number of years. I started my career in the consumer packaged goods industry, and right now I'm serving as the Chief Marketing Officer for Home Lending Pal, which is a 1 Million Cups alum. And also I handle the marketing for Blue Recruit, which you may recognize for as part of the NCTA Awards.
Great. Well, thanks, Frank, and thank you for stepping up and volunteering. A question, anybody here for the first time today? Has anybody here not been to 1 Million Cups RTP before? Don't be shy.
Hey, I'm sorry, trying to get myself off mute. George, hi. This is my first time attending, the first official time, I think, attending, yes.
Well, welcome, Dino. Can you give us a 30-second introduction?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. So Dino Skurlos, I'm a fractional VP of sales, or a sales leader for hire with sales acceleration. So I help small to medium-sized companies grow revenue, help by being a part-time sales leader and putting in a sales infrastructure for companies.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else here for the first time? No, well, just Dino. All right. The Kauffman Foundation. So many of you know, but some of you may not, that 1 Million Cups is part of the Kauffman Foundation, which is a nationwide endowment that promotes entrepreneurship. 1 Million Cups, our mission is to lower the barrier of access to entrepreneurs for all types of businesses. And I think that's really important, because here in the Triangle, sometimes we get fixated on technology and biotech, but it's important to remember that all types of new businesses are welcome at 1 Million Cups. So Phil, who's presenting today, has presented at other 1 Million Cups chapters. There are about 300 of them around the country. There's some common themes, but each one has its individual and unique value proposition depending on where they are. So RTP is a little bit different from Charlotte and so on. But the key pillars around the country are that 1 Million Cups is all about presentations, not pitches. So anybody who's been through the coaching process knows that we coaches, one of the big things that we do is try to take out pitches from presentations and to distinguish between the two. The second thing is 1 Million Cups promotes authentic connections, as opposed to networking. And that means that we don't just exchange LinkedIn connections, but we actually ask people to come and join us week to week, get to know each other, and build real connections and real community. It's run for the community, by the community. We're all volunteers here. There's no paid staff on 1 Million Cups, except for, I believe, 2 people at Kauffman Foundation headquarters. And then finally, 1 Million Cups tries to be radically and intentionally inclusive. That's still a challenge here, quite frankly, in RTP. We're not quite there yet in terms of diversity, but we try to be as welcoming as we can be, and that's part of our mission. So the core program, as most of you know, is that we meet every Wednesday morning, currently on Zoom and Facebook Live. We have 1 or 2 presenters. We present businesses that are young and that want to learn. We are always on the lookout for companies to present. Presentations, as most of you know, are not sales pitches. They're not investor pitches, although we do invite people to practice their pitches with us, as long as it's clearly stated that it's practicing the pitch. But the real thing that 1 Million Cups tries to do is understand and help people overcome challenges that they've had in building their businesses. So any company that's less than 5 years old and is open to community engagement, open to learning, open to input from the community can apply to present. And it's really simple. It's 1millioncups.com/RTP. To make stuff happen, we've got a bunch of sponsoring companies that help us make these weekly meetings possible. You know probably all of them by now, so I won't spend any time, and I'll move right to our presenter for today, who is Phil Everhart, who's going to talk to us about his company, SmartFox Technologies. So with that, Phil, take it away.
All right. Let me share my screen, and then I'll put it in presenter mode and give me a heads up that everyone can see the opening slide, and I'll get started.
Go for it.
All right. Thank you for having me here today. What an honor it is to be able to speak to the RTP 1 Million Cups. My name's Phil Everhart. I'm located in Wilmington, North Carolina. Love to have you guys visit us. Great place to live along with North Carolina. My goal today is just to go through these things with you and get your advice at the end. I want to give you an introduction to our company called SmartFox Technology. I want to tell you about the problem that exists in forecasting sales with CRMs today. I want to tell you the reason why there's that problem. And then I want to go through how our product fixes that problem, primarily in Salesforce as it exists today. I want to give you a preview and examples of our SmartFox Prime admin and end user screens. And then my 3 asks the RTP 1MC is, who do you view as our ideal customers? And how do we get our ideal customers? And how can we reach our first goal of 250 users? So let's get started. What is SmartFox Technologies? SmartFox Technologies partnered with Salesforce to develop the first ever business forecast management system called SmartFox Prime for Salesforce CRM users. SmartFox Prime is a SaaS application that can be downloaded by any Salesforce user as a plugin to their Salesforce CRM platform to help sales teams accurately forecast sales at the same time while eliminating poor opportunity management. And we use a technology called controlled artificial intelligence, I'll talk a little bit about. Here's my timeline. I just want to throw you this up to there to show you that I've been involved from 1998 to 2019 in sales leadership roles, helping companies with their business forecast management methodologies. In March of 2019, we decided to partner or develop a company to design and develop and partner with Salesforce to build the first ever business forecast management system, which we started selling due to COVID in October 2020. Here's the problem that exists in the market today. In 2019, there was a study done on 270,000 plus closed won opportunities that made up 18.1 billion in closed sales revenue for many companies involved. And this was done by Inside Sales Labs. What they found out is sales forecasts were wrong outside of 90 days of closure, 72% of the time, and within 90 days of closure, 47% of the time. So that's a huge problem that exists with forecasting in the market today. The reason why that problem exists is for these 3 reasons. The first to the left is the sales reps enter inaccurate data into Salesforce based on what they think is their perceived knowledge and their own subjective emotion of where the sales cycle is. And it's not based off of realistic data points. So that's the first issue, because sales reps are all different in their own way. The second issue in the middle is that sales reps only update 40% of their Salesforce activities. And the reason why is it takes a lot of time, it's very complicated, and they don't want to bother their managers to understand what the expectations of the company is. So these two problems exist, and it causes the third problem off to the right. The third problem is sales managers spend over 50% of their time doing admin work in office, trying to fix inaccurate forecasts and poor opportunity management. So where SmartFox came into play is that we built our business forecast management system, which forces accuracy using what we call controlled artificial intelligence. And I'm going to show you that in a second in the example screens. The first thing that we knew we did when we built this technology, we had to make it really easy for the sales reps to want to use and easy to check off to give the results that we needed with probability. Once we made this simple tool and had everybody on the same page, it forces the sales team to be accurate in forecasting. And it puts everybody on the same cadence because they're being asked the same questions and they're not subjectively entering information. The outcome of that actually fixes missed forecast revenue from 10 to 30% in their pipeline. So here's an example of what you see with our product. Here's the prospecting stage. This is the admin screen. And it shows how the admin can configure the stage probability at the top middle from 15 to 35% in this stage. And then as the milestones are completed by the sales reps, the more probability we can get. At 35% shows they've completed everything, so we can accurately show what their probability is. So this is the end user screen. As you can see, it's in the prospecting stage, and this sales rep has completed all the tasks that the company's asked them to do within this stage. And for that reason, they're at 35% probability, because these are realistic data points that a board can actually look at and say, yeah, we understand why they're at 35%. So this is the integration piece. If you know Salesforce or use it, this is a nice dashboard view of our product off the right. So you don't have to open each opportunity to understand where the forecasts are at this present time. These are some of the companies that we've helped over the years that I've worked with. Some of the ones off to the right are some of the first companies we hope to get based off our demonstrations with many companies that we've done this far. So here's my 3 asks from the RTP 1MC. And I'm getting a little data behind this to help you out and see where we are today. Who do you feel are our ideal customers? Currently, we have been prospecting to Salesforce consultants for B2B partnerships and Salesforce customers over 500 employees. How do you feel we get our ideal customers? Currently, we're using LinkedIn as our primary demo source. We have no paying customers yet, but we feel like 2 to 3 companies will be coming and installing our system in the next period very soon. How do you feel we can reach our first goal of 250 users? We're priced at competitively $45 per month per user, and it's very easy to self-install, hands-off experience. This is my contact information. Obviously, I'm excited about your comments and feedback, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak today. Thanks, George.
Thank you, Phil. Can you take us back to your slide that has your 3 asks?
Yes.
So we're going to break out into breakout rooms for 5 minutes. Group 1 is going to look at that very first question, the target market. Group number 2 is going to look at the second question, which is essentially marketing. Group number 3 is going to look at first paying customers. And then group number 4 is going to have a free-for-all on any topic that you would like. So we're going to head to breakout rooms. We'll see you back here in 5 minutes.
Thanks.
All right, you can stop your share.
All right. Does that work?
That works.
All right, did I do good with my time?
So, in 5 minutes, they'll be back. If you are following us on Facebook Live, by all means, put your questions, comments, suggestions in the comment section under the video, and we will cover them as well when we come back to the plenary session. So we're going to hand it to you, Phil. Your timing is excellent.
All right, good.
Your timing and pacing, that was excellent. That's really good.
Well, you helped me out a lot in adding those couple slides. And then at the beginning, I wanted to add something to kind of educate them on like what SmartFox technology was. So they understood it in the beginning before I kind of started talking about the, the timeline and all that. So that was helpful. And then obviously it's going to help me in the future getting feedback from people like you to make our presentation even better. So thank you.
You're flattering me.
No, it was good. You gave me some good talking points that now I know I need to do. So it's really good.
So are you the only person working on SmartFox, or do you have people working with you?
So what happened was I have a board of 5 people that I established when I started developing the platform. And these are people in Wilmington that are business colleagues and different kind of aptitudes, 2 CFOs, marketing VP, VP of sales, VP of business development. So they've really helped me. And right now I'm the only employee, as you mentioned, as a launch of this, but they're kind of guiding me through milestones that we want to accomplish. So either reaching certain user goals or funding and what grants, and people like Jim Roberts and those type of people are helping me apply for grants right now and participate in certain awards and which I didn't even go through during my presentation. I missed saying some of those things that people have helped us get. So
cool. Cool. So when do you think you're going to have to hire some people?
We tried to hire a remote sales team, and that didn't work out so well. It was tough. I think our goal is to get to that 250 user mark and then have a discussion on how we want to gain more funding to hire some people, hire some sales team people that can do some of the things that I'm having to do right now. And I can do more of the management side that I want to do. But that's kind of what we see. I don't know if that's, ultimately we could get 250 users with one company as we discussed, but it'd be nice to be able to have some help, to be honest, because I could see it growing faster the more help I had. But that's kind of where I think it's going based off of whatever important to the board.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice though to have a board because I don't make bad decisions for the most part. I mean, I present everything to them and they're like, that's a good idea. That's not a good idea. And we meet monthly.
Monthly?
That's nice.
Yeah, that's good. So how long has your board been in place? Did you set them up when you first started the company?
Yeah, what I did is when I started designing the product, I needed some business people that I respected and known for the years to give me advice on like, just try to break this. Tell me what you think. Does it make sense? What should I do? And ultimately through there, I got volunteer board members who are like, this is awesome. We get it, and we're proud to be a part of it. And they know that maybe one day they may be financially rewarded of being a part of it. So they're self-volunteering right now. And it's just been great, like Women's Cups, to have people, just be willing to help you. And that's a nice thing, and it's been great. They've provided me so much advice when I wanted to do stuff I shouldn't have done. I'm like, this is a wonderful idea. Let's go do it. Like, we can get a feature article on Forbes magazine. Let's do it. And I'm like, I don't know, so it was just like, there's a lot of opportunity out there thrown your way, definitely.
So everybody's coming back in 25 seconds.
I got my pen and pad ready.
Pardon me?
I got my pen and pad ready.
Yeah, and at the end, don't forget to capture the chat, the Zoom chat, before you leave the meeting.
Oh, okay, great.
You know how to do that?
Yeah, I see the chat button. I'll just open it up.
Yeah, so open the chat, and then down at the bottom, there are 3 little dots, and you click on that, and you can save the chat messages.
Okay,
and
great.
And everybody is coming back. All right, well, welcome back, folks. It's time for us to go around the rooms. We'll try to go around twice. So we'll ask each group to present one question or suggestion, and and then we'll come back to you for follow-ups. At the end of the meeting, if we don't have time, Phil's going to stick around after the end of the meeting. So if you want to walk up to the lectern at the front of the room with your cup of coffee in hand and chat with Phil, he'll be around for that. So let's start with breakout room number 1, looking at the target market. So that was Brittany, Mark, Michelle, Tino. What did you guys come up with?
We did not have the time. Sorry, Michelle, we did not have the time to elect a leader. So I'll go through a summary. Actually, Greg was just cut off at that moment, but our target market kind of encapsulated VPs, directors, decision makers of those with a large level sales force, usually where there's already a process implemented in the CRM. So where Salesforce is implemented and that process is broken. The generally focusing on services over products with 4 to 10 month or 4 to 18 month sales cycles would be where we see it being targeted. And then those with a multi-variety of level of reps, but a lot of new intake reps that are not necessarily already ingratiated in a process. So a good way to start reps off on the right foot and being able to forecast correctly from the start.
Thanks, Brittany.
All right, thank you, Brittany. All right, group number 2, marketing. So that was Cindy, Dino, Frank, Michelle, and Mike.
Yeah, I think Mike was taking notes. So Mike, do you
Dang it. Why was I doing that? That was dumb. First of all, George, that was the quickest 5 minutes. I don't know. I kind of questioned that time. We didn't get in very far. One of the recommendations was, especially since you don't have any true live clients, is to go ahead and focus on a much smaller organization and really get your feet wet there before, going in with companies with more than 500 people, as they may have a whole lot of sales people. And then, you don't want your problem multiplied times 100 if they got 100 salespeople. Start small, work out the kinks, and then look to go bigger. Of course, I think everybody knows this with networking and entrepreneur, but it was said by one member and is certainly worthy of being repeated. And once you find the companies, that's just the first step. The hard part's going to be getting into the companies. And to do that, you have to build relationships. And you being in sales already, you already know this. So that's really got to be a big part of the focus. And then real quick, I just did a Google search. So just to remind everybody, our question was, how do we, find our ideal customers through marketing and whatnot? And I just did a quick Google search, and I did find readycontacts.com, where they will actually sell you people that use Salesforce. I have no idea how much it is or anything like that, but that was at the top of the list.
Okay, thank you.
How'd I do, Frank?
Very well.
All right, thanks, guys. Next challenge is to find those 250 paying customers or paying licenses. So this was Dwight, Mark, Terry, and Tracy.
Terry graciously nominated me, so I'll share for group 3. So we had a couple of ideas come up. First and foremost, it may or may not be possible. The group doesn't know the details of how this runs, but potentially there's a program with Salesforce where they may promote some of the add-ons or kind of certain products. So there might be a partnership kind of idea there in terms of approaching Salesforce and seeing what they have. Again, we don't know what that looks like. We don't know if that's cost prohibitive or what the details are, but it might be something to explore in terms of kind of a package or a bundle. In addition to that, if that kind of is out of reach, kind of thinking about your own network, which might be a bit more accessible, you might already have some leads. The idea was, how do you get customers to try it? Obviously with technology, there's a big barrier to entry in terms of trying a new technology, training your team on that technology, et cetera. So the team was talking through, are there ways that maybe you could get a team to try it with half of their team? So there's kind of a little bit of a control group, or maybe get a smaller team but lower the fee to kind of get that testimonial, get that word of mouth kind of going, incentivize those early customers. So a couple of ideas for you to think about in terms of trying to get those initial customers on board. I think I covered it group 3, but if there's other things, you can message me.
And we'll come back.
Thank you.
So Phil, do you want to comment about
Yeah.
Salesforce and your relationship with them?
Yeah, so Salesforce has been a great partner of ours. We initially developed our platform in their environment because obviously they hold 40% market share of CRMs. We have a goal of partnering with other CRM systems. That's always a question I get. Our partnership with Salesforce has given us the opportunity to be nominated for some major awards that are worldwide, 2 in particular for Best Design App of the Year and 1 last year for Innovator of the Year. And that was a huge success. And I'm also writing articles each month on business management and forecasting. They have reached out to me. I'm getting a lot of views on those articles, and having the opportunity to do that and being their go-to guy for forecasting. It's been huge for me, and trying to get our brand out there and what I'm all about and what we're all about, helping companies. So I'm hoping to continue to capitalize on that. Those are free things that they offer. And obviously, as you get bigger and larger and have the money to spend, they'll put you at the head of their shopping carts, and similar to Google. So I mean, we're not there yet, but I'm trying to capitalize on all the marketing things that they offer. And fortunate for me, these articles have been a huge success. I just got to figure out how to capitalize on them. So
maybe that's a topic for our around the virtual coffee pot chat after the meeting officially ends.
Yes, sir.
Meantime, let's go to group 4, who've been patiently waiting. So this is Ed, Glenn, and McKinley. You guys, what did you come up with?
I believe it was Glenn's going to be our spokesman. There were four people in the group. 1 dropped out. 1, you never made any comments. And then I think it was Glenn came in towards the end, and he was concerned about, he mentioned prices. Salesforce was being expensive, and he was going on that in that area, and then our time ended. And I don't know where he is now.
All right, so McKinley, maybe you can come up with your ideas for our next go around, because I know you always have something in mind.
I'm speechless.
No, come on. All right, so let's go back to group number 1. So this is the Greg, Mark, Michelle group. What else do you guys have?
Michelle did a great job of summarizing, I think. Bottom line is what we were trying to do is to brainstorm at a high level of what it was that we thought you could use, Phil, in terms of target markets. We just kind of got to that edge of where we were trying to figure out what type of industry as well as size and type of company that you would have. I think it would require some more conversation, maybe after the larger presentation. Looking at your website and so on, it looks like you're trying to be fairly generic at this point. But I also agree with the other comments made that could be a voice of the customer interviews with maybe a subgroup of customers that you want to maybe think in your mind are the best people to talk to first. And I would think that Salesforce would have some folks within the organization, assuming you can get to them, that would give you some ideas as to where they think maybe some low-hanging fruit might be, either in terms of specific customers as a trial or as an industry, where they think that, you know, your tool would be worth $45 a month and not overkill or underkill. I know there's over 2 million add-ons to Salesforce, which is, you know, crazy. Try to get yourself identified in that space. So a little more conversation might be able to help you a little bit further.
Excellent. Appreciate that.
All right, let's go back to group number 2. So this was Cindy, Dino, Frank, Michelle, Mike.
I said everything I had. Anybody in the group want to pitch in? add anything more?
Yeah, I did want to add one thing that popped in, that occurred to me during the course of the round. Since you're writing on a regular basis for a couple for publications, do you focus the articles that you're writing by topic or by industry or by challenge? So if if your target audience is going to be, SMBs, then, have you niched it down to a very specific SMB challenge and gotten the link from that article back to the site so that folks can find you via SEO?
That's a great question. So currently I'm writing for articles for Salesforce App Exchange partners. So they're the ones who are promoting our articles. So that audience is people who are businesses like me, or they're people who are buying things off App Exchange, like what the gentleman mentioned they're buying products off of them. So I talk about different topics in the sales industry and how to obtain customers and best practices. Things like my next article is about nudging and how people behave when they buy things and how you have to walk them through that process and try to push them to buy and certain things. But I always end our articles with something that ties back to the App Exchange users and people buying. So I'm underneath those restraints with Salesforce. Now, Salesforce is the first vehicle I've used to write articles. I'm not a writer of art, but I've enjoyed that. And I hope to get into other feature magazines more about our controlled AI and how that works. Like, what's the science behind that? And I think eventually I'll get there. It just takes time. I just started, and I think October was my first article. So I'm open to any advice. So that was a good topic to bring up.
Yeah. I think that where you write and what you write about obviously is going to impact who finds you. But
right.
Once you decide on this target market, niche the article specifically for them.
Okay.
And I looked at your site, and I think you guys have a pretty capable marketing person, but he should be able to do some keyword research that'll tell you what the questions are in and around the vertical or the target that you're going after, and then write those articles with the hope of getting them found and eventually you found. And this will be, top to middle of the funnel.
Okay.
So we're still in the marketing side, but we, the lower half of the top of the funnel.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. And we can chat about this after everybody gets done with the round. So I don't want to take up too much time.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Frank. Now we know why you're an organizer.
Okay.
All right, let's go to group 3. So this is Dwight, Mark, Terry, and Tracy. Follow-ups or additional thoughts from you guys?
Mark, did you have anything before I jump in?
Yeah, thanks. That 5 minutes did go by pretty quickly. So one of the I was pretty far outside my wheelhouse, but I've been a recipient of people selling to me, and mostly in large companies. And so the question would be, in a large company, there was some talk about maybe taking a small subset of the sales folks to try the program. And I think that would be of value rather than trying to steer the whole large ship at once with this. Or do you target for your first customers a smaller, nimble company that's kind of starting out that they can be enticed with this add-on at the beginning stages of their company? So again, I'm fairly uneducated with regard to your industry, but that's kind of what came to my mind.
Well, I'll comment to that, George. You kind of nailed it on the dot. The people who are very interested in us are the people who are trying to implement Salesforce and forecast correctly, right. Either through a change. They're the smaller companies that kind of are starting their sales team and trying to figure out how this tool could really help them be efficient. And then I have the opposite. I have the really big companies that are interested because they have a huge amount of sales team. They want to have like a beta group that tries it, and have those type of people. But obviously it takes longer to get through that sales cycle than getting somebody initially, like you said. So I am focused kind of in both areas, trying to be focused, like trying to find those ones that maybe will do it just at the beginning, and then build the longer term relationships with the IBMs and places like that who have shown interest in our product. So that's what I'm tackling. I don't know if that's right now, and that's why I'm here today, to see if the advice y'all can give us or give me can help me see where I should focus my time the most.
Can I comment about that answer?
Okay, go ahead.
So in my view of the larger companies, I think you'll have a very mature workforce that may ask you very, very detailed, mature questions that you may not be ready for. So that's, I think, a big challenge with the big companies, because you have a lot of experienced folks there, and you may not be able to play around as much with them as opposed to the smaller companies. So I would think if you're starting out, you may want to focus on the more nimble, I want to say less educated, but the less refined sales folks that might be of interest.
Okay, that's good advice.
Yeah, and further to Mark's comment, this is Terry, one of the things that you might consider doing is recruiting 2 or 3 or 4 people who've been on the other side of the desks, who've asked those sometimes very detailed probing questions because they've purchased software and they've implemented software on their side. On the other hand, people who just see this as a tool to significantly, in a short period of time, ramp up the capabilities of a new sales team. So asking for volunteers is no bad thing there. On this call, we've got Dino, who has experience there. We've got Jacques Lemire, who's not with us. He had a conflict after our team met. But I would put out that request to some people, not to burn up a lot of time, but have that conversation. The other observation I'll make as almost a lifetime spent in technology companies is that oftentimes, whether it's hardware or software products, we think of them as products. But the truth is, whether your pricing model is software as a service, it's still a service. What you're doing is you're increasing the capability of a sales team. They really don't care that much about your product. They care about their ability to sell more stuff, especially their bosses care more about that, right? So adopting the mindset of a SaaS provider as opposed to a product provider, regardless of your pricing strategy, I think is the right way to go. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I would, Phil, just one last comment. I would say this, I'm just building on what Terry just said in a previous comment by Gregory, is you might want to think about those initial customers in terms of the larger customer group you want to go after, right? Because those initial customers will give you insights into what kind of training materials you might need to help that onboarding process, what kind of, extra high touch experience would help that implementation, right? So kind of if you identify who your later stage and kind of ideal customers are on the larger scale, some of those initial customers will help you identify ways that you can help teams be more successful with your product. And then that might be part of the experience of a new customer, right? They get a lot of training materials. They get a lot of benefits from being an early adopter because they're getting that extra support from you and your team. So just something to think about.
All right, thanks guys. In the few minutes that we have left for our regular Q&A, let's go back to group 4. So McKinley, Glenn, and Ed, any final thoughts from you guys?
I guess, I don't know what happened to the other 3 gentlemen. Glenn came on and had some very good input because he was experienced in the area that he was speaking of. Myself, I don't have any additional comments or anything.
All right, so Brittany had a suggestion in the chat about marketing push conversion. Brittany, do you want to elaborate on that?
Absolutely. Phil, I know we spoke before, but one thing I would suggest, I know a lot of people often make content online that is really impressive and has a lot of people shake their heads and think it's great, but they never actually read the author or the company or what it be. Some strategies, it does cost money. Two things though that can be pretty easily integrated into that strategy is one, a target-led LinkedIn campaign focusing on VPs, directors, C-levels, within, you know, a certain geographic area, the one that you find easiest to connect to, and just putting those articles out as a informational kind of marketing campaign, slash, you know, here's a conversion button that says, if you're interested in understanding more about, you know, a product that could help your sales process, click here. Another thing is I would never write for anyone for quote unquote free. I know that's not, you know, the quote, but there's a quid pro quo. So I would address and see if, you know, the people that you're writing for are open to a conversion bubble that pops up after 10 seconds. It's pretty readily practiced in the Internet of Things world. For, you know, any banner article to have a conversion that allows you to see who's interested by their name, what their level is, and what their business is, and a phone number contact. That's pretty much all you have to do. Usually that'll be the highest rate of conversion you'll see off those articles, because unfortunately without that information you really can't determine who's reading it. All you can do is like the demos of, it's in the United States, it's a person, that person is not a robot. So
good advice. That's really good advice.
Well, great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. That's all the time we have for Q&A now. But again, Phil is going to stick around when we're all done. And so if you'd like to have a chat around the virtual coffee pot, it will not be moderated. It will not be on Facebook Live. There will be no recording, so you can speak freely. Meantime, it's time for community announcements. So this is anything that might be of interest, be it an event, an opportunity for the entrepreneurial community in RTP. Does anybody have anything that they would like to share?
Don't everybody speak at once now.
This dang pandemic just really keeps people from getting together, doesn't it? It's terrible.
I'll share a link for y'all, but we are getting ready to put on a webinar on the 28th for the 6 trends for 2021 for marketing. It's a free webinar, all invited. You can share it with whoever you want to share it with. I'll drop that in the chat for y'all.
Great. What time is it?
It is on January 28th at 2 p.m. It's with our partner company that we work with.
Cool. Thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? So I guess that's it. So thank you, everybody, for joining 1 Million Cups RTP this week. Tino, who is still with us, Tino Go, is going to talk to us next week about his company, Baru. Tino, do you want to just introduce yourself and give us a 30-second sneak peek at what's going to be on next week?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I look forward to telling you all more information about. Essentially, we're using augmented reality technology to radically transform manufacturing. And at the same time, we're helping our local businesses, creating hometown jobs and saving the environment. The way it works is people are able to use augmented reality not only to identify and visualize products, but actually customize it. We're starting in the furniture space first because the $18 billion wood furniture industry spends $9 billion on logistics. So we've eliminated that cost out of our operating structure. That's our one of our competitive advantages. So choose our product, customize it in augmented reality, and we deliver it in a couple of weeks.
Excellent. So don't steal your own thunder. If you want to learn more, you got to tune in next week at 9 o'clock. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week on 1 Million Cups RTP. And once again, Happy New Year.